Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me this week, this month. I keep saying this week, but I don't film every week anymore, so that's a bit silly. I should undo that habit. But thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I hope you're all doing very well. I haven't filmed in a while, and this podcast is going to be a little bit peculiar because I don't really have knitting in the progress per se to share with you. The works I'm doing at the moment, they're either really close to being finished or close to being at a point where I actually have something interesting to show and say about it. So I'm gonna hold a little bit on that, and I will probably film another episode quite soon to share that with you. But for this episode I have lots of talk, I think. Lots of things to say. I have 2 new patterns that I just released that I wanted to show you or re-present to you. I want to make a review of Making Stories, first a new magazine, which I'm a little bit late for, but yay, I'm finally able to do it. And then I just came back from the Knit It Festival, which was a yarn festival that was held in Lyon, in the center east of France. And yeah, I just came back from it. It was on the 6th and 7th of April. We're now Monday 8th. And yeah, I just came back from it. I'm all still a little bit high on meeting everyone, and I have lots of things to say about my time there. And I have lots of yarn to show. And I'm not one to usually do a haul and be like, I bought this. But I realized that everything that I bought made sense altogether. And they all kind of shared something in common. And something that I want to push forward and maybe present to you, so that maybe you can discover new makers, especially if you're not French. If you're watching this, you might not be. And yeah, they're all but one is Spanish, all but one are French or French speaking, one of them is Belgian makers, and they're doing a fantastic job, and so I have a lot to say about this. Yay! I think I'm gonna start right away because I'm about to talk quite a lot. Yeah. You can find timestamps to all the different things that I say on the podcast in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. There will also be links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media and patterns for sale on Ravelry. I am Yarnflakes pretty much everywhere. And I'm going to start right away with the patterns that I have just released. I have released 2 patterns at the same time for the festival, and one of them I'm wearing right now, and it is the Sonate sweater, which is French for sonata, and it is a sweater with this little cable panel down the front and split sleeve cuffs, you can see here. So it's a tap down raglan which starts at the back flat, so that the back is a little bit higher. Stop that raglan. The sleeves are somehow straight. You can easily modify them, make them longer. The body, there is waist shaping, and I did try quite intensively to allow people to adapt it depending on where your waist is. Some people have a high or lower waist. I have quite a high waist myself, and so you can easily try it on. And I've marked the point, I've written in the pattern where you want to start decreasing. You want to start decreasing when your body does this, and you want to start increasing for the hips when your body sort of does this. And you can easily make it however you like, however you need, and you can also completely skip it and make a straight body, of course. But yeah, I am really happy with this sweater. I wanted a fingering weight cabled sweater because I really like cables, and I would like to wear them as well in spring and when it's not so cold that I don't need a DK huge nice cable sweater. But yeah, it is fairly easy. It's a fairly easy pattern. It goes pretty quickly because the cable is nice and is like a good instinctive. It's fairly simple because of how intuitive it is. Basically, if you missed a cross in the previous row, you're gonna see it right away. And so it's fairly easy to manage. And then since the back is all stuck in it, it goes really quickly. And it was really fun to knit. And there are lots of lovely testers versions on Ravelry that you can check if you want to see different colors, different fits on different sizes. And yeah, what else do I have to say about this? I used Maison Corlaine yarns, which is a French indie dyer. They are for now on Etsy. And I use their Bakewell base, which is 100% blue-faced Leicester, and I love blue-faced Leicester. I love wearing it. I love that it's still very soft to me, and it holds really well. It has like some sort of, it's firm. It has a great definition, this sort of satin finish with the cable. It's just really, really nice. The colorway that I used is Shepherd, which is a really interesting beige. I'm not a beige person usually because of how pale I am. I'm always afraid they're gonna wash me out, but I fell in love with that color, and I found that whenever you look at it, it always looks different. Sometimes it looks pink, sometimes it looks grayish, and it's always really nice. And I think that it looks pretty okay on me. It's a pretty good neutral for me, I think. Let me know if you think not at all. You look awful. You look sick. I might look sick because I'm tired, but yeah. I personally really like it. And yeah, it's really nicely nuanced. Maison Corlaine's dyeing job is really, really nice and interesting, and seeing the approach that they have of how they can twist the different shades ever so slightly, but it makes a difference, and it's really, really nice. And yeah, the sweater is available on Ravelry, and I have, as usual, put a little coupon code for 15% off if you want to use it, if you need it. And it's valid until Thursday the 11th. I let it run for a little bit longer than usual because I knew that I was going to be at the festival, and I wanted to present the pattern on YouTube as well, so you have time if you want to check it out. But yeah, I think I sort of said everything. Yeah. That is the first of our sweater collaboration. Like I said, I really tried to make it easy to modify, to make it nice and suitable for different body types as well. And yeah, I knit my sample a few months ago when I had put a little bit of weight and I had bigger bust size, and I kind of lost like 4 centimeters since then. Too much details, but you know. And so now maybe it's slightly less fitted, but it's still pretty nice and it's comfortable, and I really like it. And yeah, like I said, it's easy to adjust. And that was the first of my collaboration with Maison Corlaine for the festival. And the second one is something that is coming back from the dead. It's a stole I was working on last year, and Maison Corlaine last year they contacted me saying that they were going to work on releasing new bases, new non-superwash bases. Yes, and that is something I will talk more later in the festival part. But I am so happy to see more and more indie dyers within the French knitting community as well, tackling non-superwash and different fibers. It's so nice. And So they released a few new bases, a few new non-superwash bases for the festival. They are not on their website at the moment, but if you're interested, you can absolutely contact them via Etsy or via Instagram. And yeah, they do take custom orders. And they have released Wensleydale, which is, oh my god, so beautiful. Wensleydale, it's really metallic. And Maison Colin's work is so intense in the colors. And the colors are really jewel, really rich tones. And so it is absolutely stunning on the Wensleydale base. And I really need to figure out something because I would like to get some at some point. But I need to find what will work with it because it's a bit hairy and so textures are a bit tricky. Maybe color work. I need to find something to work on because that is a wonderful base and I really want to give it a shot. They also released the BFL Massim, which is more and more popular. It's really nice and plump and soft. BFL Goatland, which has the really nice cocoon puffiness of the Goatland in it, which I really like, and this sort of metallic sheen as well. Not as strong as the Wensleydale one, but it still has that sort of sheen, lustrous sheen. And they also released 100% French merino, non-superwash French merino bases, which I will show in a bit because I got some. And I think I didn't forget. Yeah, they also have a bamboo base, BFL and bamboo base, which is a really interesting blend. I love bamboo. I want to see more bamboo. I really like it. It drapes really nice. It's soft and it's nice. I like it. It's softer than cotton, and I think it's interesting to work with for the summer. And I think I've covered all of them, besides the one I actually used. Yes. And the one I used is Falkland Merino. It's 100% non-superwash Falkland Merino grey. It's the bluff grey base. And ta-da! So you have seen it already. You have seen it when I was knitting on it last year. And it is an absolutely beautiful base. The quality, the thing that I am really loving when I use non-superwash base is that it does a really coherent fabric. That's why it works so well with color work, obviously, because the stitches are all together. It's warmer, it's really nice. And here with the little cables, this base has a great definition for it has a little halo. It's a thin yarn, it's a thin fingering weight. It has 400 meters per 100 gram, but it has a great definition. And the thing is, usually, you know, when you knit cables, you always have I always get uneven tension. On some of the reverse stockinette parts, I have some stitches that are gonna get really loose. But because of the non-superwash yarn, it just kind of smoothes everything together. And during the festival, a lot of people said it looked machine knitted, which is really, really fun. And I think that's why, because it looks really nice and even though that is totally not my skill. It's the yarn. It is the yarn. And yes, so it's a large wrap with little twisted stitches cable here, braided cable, which is really nice to work. There is the famous lateral Wickel braid, which I've been using over and over. And then you have these diamond shapes with knotted stitches. And the border is seed stitch. And it looks much more complicated than it is. The cables in this are really intuitive, and you know you have to get there, and when you're there you're going there, etc. This is only a 4 rows cable, and it has 2 rows of crossing, and when you know you've done one cross, you know you have to do the other one. And as usual, I've put links to tutorials for the little more unusual bits, but the lateral braid effect here, which I really love, and I've used in 2 other of my designs, it's really not complicated. Every time my testers had great success with it, and I think it gives a really nice subtle effect. It's also something that you could totally work in a different color or using a thicker yarn. Could be interesting. And I've also done myself, I did a tutorial on the wrap knot, which is nothing complicated. It's just it's the type of thing when you write instructions, it sounds weird, but yeah. And so it is a rather meditative knit once you get the hang of it. And I personally used 3 skeins to make quite a large wrap, but it's really easy to adapt. One, you can obviously remove a line if you want to make it thinner, more like a scarf, and then at all the different points of the pattern, I tell you, you should have used about X% of your yarn, so that you can make it longer, shorter, however you want. And yeah, it's a peculiar pattern. I was really happy with it, and I really like it. I know it's not gonna be the trendiest thing, although since the pictures are not so great, it was really difficult to photograph the color, and I had to sacrifice the quality of the picture and the colors just so that you could actually see the cables. But if you look at the projects on Ravelry, you're gonna see a couple testers versions with smooth yarns that are really sharp definition. So you can kind of have the 2 versions. I like cables in non-superwash. I like how blurred and kind of natural they look. I really do. And yeah, I have spent quite some time with Maison Corlaine, the dyers, on their stand at the Knitted Festival, and I had such an amazing time there. And I was really impressed with how they approach their work and what they want to do with the non-superwash bases, and developing a good range of colors that goes together and that makes associations easy. Maison Corlaine has a strong visual identity. They have a really pretty design, aesthetics and things. This is Guillaume's work, so one of the 2 people behind Maison Corlaine. It's his job creating the visual identity, and he's really good at it. It's really beautiful. Their Instagram is gorgeous. But even though this is really striking and this makes the brand really recognizable, I was really touched by, I've talked with him a lot about this, and he explained to me his way of thinking, that all the nice branding aspect of it, all the nice logos and the labels and the visual aspect of it, for him, it's not important. It's an accessory, and they really are putting forward the work on selecting yarn, selecting fibers, and building the colors. And they're doing a terrific job at nuancing their color ranges. And I think working with non-superwash bases really suits them, because the rich jewel tones of their work, it just shines so well. They do solid colorways, and it just works so well on non-superwash bases. Like I told you, the Wensleydale base, I can't get over it. It's so beautiful. And yeah, it was really interesting, and I had a great time trying to help them however I could, and yeah, getting to know them. And so my 2 samples were on the booth, and I have to say I am so happy that I was there, because I got so many lovely compliments, especially on Hylde. And Hylde, you know, it's not gonna be the trendiest pattern, like I said. I know it's a bit weird, but I don't really. The thing is, if I didn't go there, I would have launched it and I would have been happy about it. But there's a really, maybe I will talk more about it later. But there's a really different feeling when you have people that just look at the sample. You know, they're not buying the pattern. It's not in that way, and they just say so many nice things about it and say it's so beautiful. And of course I would like to sell the pattern and eat eventually, but just getting the compliments, it's like two different things. And the latter is so much much more real to me, just, and I get so much more satisfaction just hearing all the nice things people were saying about it. And I wasn't even like, I was literally hiding behind all the people and just looking at how people were touching the stool and saying so many nice things about it, and they didn't know that I or the designer was there, and they were just going for it and looking at it and complimenting it, and it was so nice and so very welcome. Because when you work on your own and you're sort of in your bubble, the only feedback that you can have on whether or not you work as a designer is good, as if it meets some public, by purchasing it or by making it or by just liking it or favoriting it on Ravelry. This is important in the sense that I'm doing this because I want to share things. So I need to sort of have a way of seeing how things are received. But hearts on Instagram or on Ravelry and sales, they're not real in terms of the success of the pattern for me personally. That is one thing that is really appreciated and needed when you want to make a living out of it. But it's more real and so much more motivating to see the people face to face, seeing them and having them compliment the work that you do. And you know, if I didn't go to the festival and if I wasn't there at the booth, I don't know how I would have felt about launching these two patterns all together, because you're kind of in a frenzy of launching a ton of patterns to follow the trend at the festival and blah blah blah. And you know, you're there and you're like counting and seeing, okay, people are liking it, some people are buying it and things, but it's so cold and so not a real value for the work. I think personally that's how I feel. And yeah, being there on the booth, it was so very different, and it's so motivating, because what I want to do when I release the pattern, I want the pattern to be available and to be there for whoever people want or need it. And it's gonna be available amongst as many patterns as possible from however many designers as possible, because you always do something different and you always like to pick from someone different. And I think it's really nice to have that possibility as a designer to put a little brick somewhere and it's there. And if people like it in months or in years, it's there, it's available, and you can get it and you can make it. And so that's how I function. That's what I want to do with my patterns. I'm not in this mindset of I'm launching a pattern and everyone needs to buy it, in the next 2 days. It needs to be the first thing ever. No, I just like it when it's there, it's available. But that means that I never really get a good value of how it is appreciated, so to say. And I did, being at the festival, and that was amazing. And I want to thank everyone who was there, because I know some of you, I've met some English speaking people, 2 lovely girls from Sweden, hello, who came. And yeah, I'm so grateful, and I felt so shy a little bit and so weird, but like most of the time I was not saying anything. I was like, people were looking either at Sonat or at Hylde, and they were like saying, oh, this is nice, and looking at it, and I was like in my corner, and most of the time it was It was Guillaume from Maison Corlaine who was like, yeah, she's here. It's her thing. And I was like, no, no. But yeah, it was really nice hearing feedback. Yeah, so that was a little side note about this and yeah, being a designer at a festival. But yes, Hylde is also on Ravelry, and there is also a coupon code to get 15% off. It's Hylde. Everything is written in the description down below if you want to have a look at it. And if you like it and you need it now. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So that's it for the patterns part. I want to continue a little bit about talking about making stories. So I'm a little bit late on that, but as you know, I am lucky to be an ambassador for Making Stories. That is, I sometimes receive some of their publications for review, and they sent me their newest thing, which is a magazine. They decided to launch a magazine, and it's like collections of patterns that are combined with different articles and thoughts on one specific topic, one theme per magazine. And for this first issue, the magazine's theme was change. And so I really appreciate it. One thing about Making Stories is that they're always very coherent, and the thing is, they're always so focused on sustainability, and with that, they really do a great job at matching the content and the form, which is the actual magazine is a really nice object. The paper is recycled. It has like lots of labels attached to it, ecological labels, and they also don't have any ads in it. They really want to specifically remain ad-free, and I think that's admirable from their part. And yeah, here basically, so there's a collection of patterns which, as usual, are like minimalistic and easy to wear and modify. I just want to share a couple of my favorite ones. The first one is Rainfall, which is this lovely triangle shaped shawl with like a dropped ribbed texture. I really like it. It's really, really nice. And the second one is actually also worn in this picture. It's the yoke sweater, which I always find rounded shape in yokes to be really intriguing, but at the same time hard to do. And this, the name of the sweater is Borobila. And I just think it's really cool. It works really well, and again, it's so versatile. And there's some socks as well in there. There's another shawl, and there's a lot of other garments that are like can easily be worn by men, women, whatever. And they're really easy to wear and to adapt. And I really like what they've done. And I've seen with the different publications that the actual writing of the patterns has evolved and changed, and it's really nice. Here, especially attracted to the schematic. For some reason, I found them really interesting. I'm just going to try and show you the schematic here. You can see, because they really reflect the shape of the garment, and I think that's really interesting. I really liked that. But what really struck me with the magazine is the articles and the thoughts on the various different topics, that most of which are going to probably echo the discussions about diversity happening since forever, but being put to the front line by everyone since January or so. And yeah, there's an article on sustainability and how, as a designer or just a maker, we can approach making when we don't need to. And that was really interesting. And then there's an article on disability and how it revolves around knitting and how sometimes it does not. And it was really interesting building portraits of people and just sharing experiences. And there's also an article which is called Queering the Knitting Status Quo, which talks about the issues of gender and sort of focusing a project with an attached gender. And yeah, it's something that unconsciously you look at the pattern like a hat that is worn by a woman, modeled by a woman in the picture, so you're like, oh, it's for women, and all these types of things. And yeah, it's just very interesting to read about different experiences and sharing stories, making stories. It's as if it was planned. But it was really interesting, and I'm really happy to see a publication addressing these issues and sharing, because it's not about giving lectures, it's not about making an account of things or anything. It's just really about individuals and shining lights on problematics, yes, but at the same time just listening to different people. And it's really, really interesting, and I really appreciated this in this magazine. And I believe it's still available to order. If not, they have a lot of stockists. They have a list of stockists on their website, and they also opened a subscription base for the magazines. So yes, if you are interested, if you love minimalistic patterns, and if you'd like to support the step with the step towards basically focusing on real people within the making community, well then I do recommend it. It is really nice. I think I've said everything I wanted to. I hope I didn't forget anything. Yeah, I think there's patterns for everyone, and I think everyone has something to get from all the articles and as well the art. There's like a comic. I'm sorry if I'm not using the right term for that. I know that especially in French, it's a bit tricky to characterize graphic work. But yeah, it's really interesting to see all of this in the magazine, and it's a really nice object as well. So yeah, we're continuing with the oddness of this episode, and I hope I'm not gonna take too long from it, because yeah, like I said, I'm not one to make a haul, but I do want to show you what I got, because I think they all kind of merge and tell something. So the Knitted Festival in Lyon, it was my first ever festival. I can't really afford to, having some battery issues. Anyway, as I was saying, I can't really afford to go to festivals, so I've been trying to be quite selective. And the thing is, so far around France, the biggest festivals, they weren't really, one, they weren't making really knitting and yarn focused, and also most of the times it was not a good melting pot of the different things that I liked. It was either really only hand-dyed superwash merino yarns, which is cool, I like it, but I would like if I am to spend the money to go to a festival, I kind of wanted to make it worth it, in a sense, and to make sure that I can support the people I want to support. And yeah, I know at the same time it was, maybe I should have thought differently, because I would have met people there as well. But yeah, anyway, it all came perfectly, because the Knitted Festival was created. It was the first edition of it, and they did the perfect job at mixing luxurious hand-dyed superwash merino dyes, like La Bien-Aimée was there. La Fée Fil maybe is a little bit known as well internationally. And then there was rustic yarns like Bichet Buche, which is sort of known as the people that make like Le Petit Lamb's Wool and these types of yarn you might have heard of. They also stock Isager yarns. And there was Yarn Shop from Anna, Lana et Tricot in Grenoble, who she stocks BC Garn yarn. and retrosaria as well. There was also yarns from Brittany, really raw, natural, good, excellent colorwork yarns. And it was just a really good mix of things. And it was just perfect. And so I went, and I'm so glad that I did. I was there also because it so happens that Maison Corlaine, with whom I've been collaborating for this sweater and the stole I showed you at the beginning, was there also. So it was the occasion to just go. And yeah, like I told you, I had a really great experience there. And just in general, meeting people. And it's always funny because you're going like, hey, yes, hello. I can see that you recognized me. And yes, I don't know you, but it's fine. And it was just really heartwarming. And yeah, I was a little bit mostly embarrassed. I'm a generally embarrassed person. And I really don't want to bother. And I'm really afraid that I appear cold or weird, because I kind of we all are, but at some point I was like, it's just weird, we're all weird, so let's be weird, it's fine. But yeah, I was really grateful for everyone who came and said hello. It was really nice. And like I said, there's this designer thing, yes, with people commenting on my work, and it's really just making everything fall into place finally, which maybe so far I didn't. But seeing people actually wearing some of the projects they made with my designs, and just exchanging about it. And also everyone mentioned the podcast and how everything was really nice, and like there was my designs, yes, but there's also the project that I share and what I say on the podcast that they enjoyed, and that was so nice. And I really appreciated every one of you who came and said hello, and I had a great time. Like I said, walking around and talking with different makers, both vendors and just makers around the festival. And it was a really nice festival, and they're going to do it again. Surely, it was such a success. It was such a boom. And like on the Saturday morning, it was super crowded. They had to close the gates at some point. But they're going to do it again, and they're gonna that's what one of the organizers said, that they're gonna try and advertise a little bit more in English as well, because I really think it could be a great thing. It's in Lyon, which is like in the center of Europe. Basically, it's quite close to Germany, and it's a really big city. It's well accessible by plane from the UK as well, and it's, of course, it's not Paris, but Paris is a little bit annoying. So, but it's nice. It was nice. It was just on the border of the river. It's not a river. It's bigger than a river. I don't know if English has a word for a big river. It's a big river. And it was a really nice setting, and there was food as well. Well, they were a bit shocked by the amount of people, so apparently there was a lot of food left after. But a really nice handmade little artisan kind of thing, and that was really nice. And I was a bit lucky because I was, as a visitor, I had my plan, and I went in early, and I was available there specifically for there. So as a visitor, I was lucky. I was able to go and eat quite early on, so I didn't have any of the issues. And at the same time, I wanted to help Maison Corlaine on their booth, but I wasn't really working. And so whenever, when there was too many people and I couldn't reach their booth, and I saw it was like completely panic and really, I'm exaggerating, but like it was really crowded and a lot of people, and was really hard on the vendors a little bit. I was like, I'm gonna go. I'll come back later. I was really like a little bit sneaky. But yeah, I had lots of fun, and the Saturday afternoon and then the Sunday was great. Lots of time to chat with people, much more room. And yeah, next year they're definitely going to extend the location and hopefully attract more and more people, because it was really a great festival. And I'm really looking forward to other editions potentially. And it was really lacking in France, a festival like that. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of the same principle, not in size, obviously. Same principle as like Edinburgh or maybe Perth or Unravel, this types of thing. You know, it's really specifically yarn and makers around these crafts, knitting, crochet, embroidery, sewing. There was a little bit of sewing, a little bit. And really a good array of different people. And that's what I think I want to say most, sharing with you everything that I got, is because I unintentionally focused on selecting bases and yarns that were new, non-superwash, interesting fibers, different things. And I didn't do it on purpose, but it so happens that that is the case. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I'm supporting what I went to see. And so I'm just gonna go in order. And the first thing that, I'm sorry, I'm going fast because I'm gonna have to go eat. Also, I don't want to spend 2 hours showing you yarn and be like, look, everything that I bought. But yeah, I went with a plan. Like I said, I never go to knit festivals, so I kind of saved money so that I could get some yarn for future designs and plan. And so I came with a plan with samples and things, and I knew what I wanted. And so I did most of my purchases quite early on, because I knew what I wanted. One of the things I wanted was La Bien-Aimée yarn. I never got La Bien-Aimée yarn because they're quite expensive for me. I really don't have a problem with pricing yarns however people want or need to. La Bien-Aimée has a shop in Paris. It's expensive. She needs to pay her employees, etc. And I think the work that she does is really valuable. And yeah, it's just that so far I never had the occasion and the possibility to spend money and get her yarn. But this time I did. And of course I got everything. Well, everyone has gotten it. She collaborated with Retrosaria, the Portuguese brand I've talked about over and over again, and their Mondim base, which is a sock base originally, which is 100% Portuguese wool, which is an amazing yarn base. If you can get the original one as well, go and check it out. They have really cool colors and it's really nice. But Aimée did a dying job of this on this, which is absolutely stunning. And I wanted to make a striped sweater, like sequence of small stripes, and I am terrible at putting 3 colors together. 2 colors, I'm fine. 3 colors, I can't do it. And I knew Aimée was good at this, so I went to see her and I was like, I need 3 colors. Help. I got this because caramel. This is caramel, the caramel color, and I got this. And then I went for a neutral because it was simple, which is smoke. But then I had this and I couldn't, because previously I had looked on La Bien-Aimé's website and tried to make combinations, but I could never find the right thing. And if I was alone, I would probably just have picked like a really dark grey or a cream. Hi, sorry, I had a little interruption there. So yeah, I believe I was saying that I had the plan to make a striped sweater, a striped raglan with maybe some texture with 3 colors, and I am terrible at putting 3 colors together. So knowing that I wanted to try Mondim by La Bien-Aimée, so her take on the Retrosaria base, I asked her for her help. And so yeah, I think I said that I was looking for associations online and I just couldn't get something that was right, and I asked Aimée for her help, and she came out with this, which is absolutely perfect. It's so beautiful, and it's not something I would have found myself. I would have probably picked like these two and like a really dark charcoal or something, but it would have been cool, but not what I wanted, and not the kind of effect I wanted, and this definitely has it. So I don't know if I said the colors: caramel, smoke, high garden, and they're all really well nuanced and thing. It's really beautiful. and slightly tonal effect to them. And yeah, I think I will try, and it might be fun that when I actually make this design happen, I try and pick out different options, like on different yarn bases, and different color options, and try and stuck them together and see, like, and I don't know, maybe I'll make some sort of funny montage thing, like edit a bunch of different colors of yarns together and try and get better at putting 3 colors together by suggesting associations when I actually work on the design, if you are not a pink, caramel and grey person. That's so beautiful. It works so well. It's perfect. So yeah, that was the first thing that I got at La Bien-Aimée booth. Then the second thing I knew I wanted was, and again, a new and really interesting base from a natural yarn dyer who is By Night Dyes. And I already got some yarn from her for a pair of socks, which is eventually going to happen someday. So I've talked about her before, but she's a natural yarn dyer from Belgium. Her name is Natalie, and her work is By Night Dyes. And she just launched a couple of really new, interesting bases, and I really admire the work that she did in working with this, because working with natural plants, she works with plants, with fruits and things and flowers, and working with different bases, which most likely are not white when you start off with. It's it must be really interesting. Whenever she talks about her process, it's always super interesting. So I definitely wanted to support that and have a look at what she had. Now my idea is I needed some yarn to make a pair of mittens, and I had this little drawing with me. There you go. And it's all charted and ready, and I knew I wanted some of her yarn. Now she has 2 new bases. One is BFL Massim and one is BFL Gotland. And I decided upon the BFL Gotland mix, which is the serious base. All of her yarn bases have like star and sky related names, because the colors on this seem to be a little bit more vibrant than on the other base, which the Massim one, it's like softer and more pastel-y kind of colors. But for the colorwork contrast, I wanted something sharp. So this was dyed with henna, and you can see how subtle it is, and with the little grey spots of the Gotland. And this was dyed with logwood, and it's hard to see, but yeah, logwood makes like a really strong purple if you like saturate it a lot, and this is really nice. It looks very blue on camera, but it's actually a really, really dark purple, and I thought these two would look really good together. And yeah, I am really happy to see more natural dyeing on different yarn bases, because I think it's very interesting, and I think the two universe of going for natural non-superwash bases and natural dyeing, I think they kind of intertwine really nicely. So that was one thing. And then I had this little swatch, which is going to be a cardigan. I already have some yarn for the set cardigan, which I should be working on it in the winter. And it's like this really nice squishy thing. It's a garter based texture. It's really fun to work. It's like pretty nifty, and it's really nice and squishy, and I think it looks cool. And so I figured I would make a hat with it if I can. And so I again went for a yarn dyer I had never tried before I wanted to, which is Imogen. Her yarn label is Big Bad Yarn. You might know her because she's doing some festivals around the UK, so she is as well spreading internationally. She's like a rock and roll attitude dyer. I think she's gonna be at Perth Festival of Yarn. Anyway, she also has interesting bases, and the base I really wanted from her was her 100% Corriedale base. I really like Corriedale. I wish you would see more of it here. it's really soft. It's so close to merino soft, and yet it's still sturdy, and it has a nice texture to it, and it's just nice. And this is a decay base, and the color is altered blue-green. And it took me a while to figure out the color I wanted, because she has like a really nice mustard yellow as well. And I thought green was odd, maybe for me, but kind of cool. And since the cardigan is going to be in a similar color than this, I didn't want to have something too close. I thought it would be nice to see different colors for this texture. So, Corriedale. So you see, we're still 100% Portuguese, DFL Gotland, Corriedale. And we're continuing with, I was walking around with this. So I made a bunch of little samples as well. Like I had this one, and I made samples specifically for the festival, so I could just have something visual with me and remember what I was looking for. And I had this with this like a shawl, and it's no stupid shape because I didn't bother to incorporate the lace edging into the shape of the triangle, which I obviously will when I actually make the pattern. But yeah, originally I wanted this to be 2 colors. And then I came across the stand of the only international stand that was there, which was held by 2 Spanish guys who they have an Angora and Mohair farm in Spain, and they're called El Robledad de la Santa. And I said hi, hello, and I looked down and I saw this. And again, interesting fiber. This is tencel. This is 50% tencel, 50% superwash merino. Obviously, it's the softest thing on hers. Tencel is so nice and shiny. Oh my god, yeah, super shiny. It's really, really squishy and gentle. I really like it. What I especially like about it is, since it doesn't take the dye the same as the wool in it, it has that sort of nuanced marl kind of white thread running through, and this is really beautiful. The colorway is bloody wicked, and just quite funny. And yeah, I need to look more into their process, because it seems like they have a really interesting thing. They have the farm, and yeah, they kind of make their own types of yarn as well, and it looks really, really interesting. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into it. But this is like a sport weight. It has 303 meters, and it's going to be a shawl. And so I eventually decided that I would make it unicolor instead of because this has like some garter. This is, you can't see because of the light, it's twisted rib and the lace, and I wanted to put some stripes as well, but I just fell in love with this, and I thought, relying on the texture and the drape and beauty of the tencel, I think it's going to be really cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be a nice thing. And the kind of last really planned thing that I had was this, which is a sample I've done a while ago, and I kept moving around and trying to figure out what yarn I could use for it. It's a colorwork sample. I am planning to make a drop shoulder sweater with this colorwork motif on the body, and basically on the top part of the sweater I would incorporate this as very simple lines here on the top, kind of spread irregularly on the top and gradually getting closer until you get to the body where you have the actual colorwork motifs. And maybe put one of the repeat on the sleeve, though I think it's too long for that, and I don't think I will do it. Well, I didn't know what kind of yarn. I've been looking around and trying different things, and I wanted a fingering / sport weight, and then it just came to me that Maison Corlaine, which I was on their stand, and right in front of me was the perfect yarn. Basically, it's what I showed you earlier. It's their 100% French merino, non-superwash French merino, and they had it in these big cakes, and isn't that just perfect? And it's what I was saying about working on color. It's really interesting how it changes through bases. Like, for example, this colorway is Philomène stay down, is Philomène, and it's like on the superwash basis, it's like a really nice dark, almost navy blue, but here it kind of got grayed out and turned into a little bit more of a teal perhaps, and it sort of makes it better for color work, I find, because it merged together really nicely. And so the body is going to be blue, and then I'm going to incorporate the grey, the light grey, as the colorwork pad. I decided I didn't have enough blue sweaters, so there you go. I think I have enough, because since it's gonna be a drop shoulder with a little bit of ease and colorwork, I don't want it to be really big and look a bit odd. So I'm gonna make it a little bit cropped, just because that's what I prefer for sweaters as well, and I think it's gonna make it look a little bit more modern to wear. Obviously everyone can. It will be fairly easy to, because you could split the motif, you know, you see there's like 1 and 2 sort of things, so you can easily split it and add a few centimeters or inches to I'm holding this like the Tower of Pisa, but yeah. And this was very generously given to me by Maison Corlaine. I had the intention of buying it. I went there, I was like, hey, can I buy it? This base is like 23 euros, and for like, it's 375 meters. I'm like, hey, I want to buy it, and they were like, no. So it was very kind of them, even though I was a little bit embarrassed, but I guess we're gonna continue collaborating, so yeah, maybe in the winter, we'll see when that happens. And finally, the last thing, I didn't have a precise project. Well, I know what I was going to do, it's just that I didn't have it completely mapped out. I wanted to try the new Retrosaria base they launched recently, which is this one. I think you might have seen the labels because they're awesome. It's so cool. So Retrosaria again is a Portuguese brand with which La Bien-Aimée collaborated for these. And they recently launched a new yarn, which is the Vovo yarn. And I had the impression it was like the Brusca yarn, but in sport weight, whereas the Brusca is worsted. Actually, it isn't. It's a worsted spun. And it's so soft. So I got this from Anna's shop, Lana et Tricot. She's a stockist in France for Retrosaria. And yeah, I fell in love with that color. Apparently, I really like that color at the moment, but yeah, I fell in love with that color, and the blue was not far from it, and I thought this makes a really cool contrast. And these are gonna be colorwork mittens, just perfect for it in sport weight. And yeah, I just really like the blue has some black marled into it. It's so beautiful. It has a really stunning color, and they had like really beautiful greens as well. It was really nice. Yeah, so this is the Vovo, and it's much softer than the Brusca, which I love the Brusca, it's not a problem. But yeah, when I touched it, I was like, oh, that's nice. That's really nice. So, yeah. So that was kind of it for the planned aspect of things. So I got all of this on Saturday. Ooh, and also, I'm just gonna give you a little sneak peek. I just picked up something for a future collaboration, and I'm just going to flash it. Hey, it's gorgeous. I will share more about it when I'm working on it. So yeah, you see, it's not just all my fault. But yeah, this was kind of all the planned thing that I got early on the Saturday, and so I thought, okay, I got everything I needed, everything that was planned. And so I came on the Sunday, I was like, hi, it's okay, I'm just gonna chill, I don't need anything. Yeah, of course. Of course, I had to treat myself a little bit as well, because these are, after all work yarns. They're part of my design budget, so I guess that's the thing. But the stand of Maison Corlaine, where I was mostly around, in front of it, well, not far from it, was Teinture Sauvage, so it's like wild wild dyes, something like this. She has a beautiful Instagram account with lovely moody pictures, and she does natural dyeing on yarn, on fabric, on some linen. She sells beautiful linen stalls. And she also does little embroidery threads. And I chatted with her about it. It's really cool because I often found that like the yarn craft, thread craft are quite segmented. Like it's knitting, crochet, embroidery. It's like a little bit separated, and there's not a lot of mixing. Whereas we all use the same material, whether you're knitting, crocheting, weaving, embroidering, you could use the same thread, a piece of yarn, and I think it's nice when things kind of intertwine. And I kind of want to start weaving with hand-dyed yarns again. So, teinture sauvage, so wild dyeing, does natural dyeing, and she has a really beautiful universe, and I was just struck. On her booth she had 2 sweaters that were knit out of her alpaca is the French way, alpaca and merino base. It was like 100 meter of fingering weight, and it made like this nice, she had this really nice sweater with like a little bit of wide sleeves and things, and it was just really, the fabric was really nice. I really liked it, and so I decided to get some of that base. And eventually, at first I wanted this because difficult, very difficult. It's a bright red, but it's a bright orangey red, not that bright. It's dyed with black, and so it's 80% alpaca, 20% French merino, and it's non-superwash, and it has a really cool texture. It's soft because of the alpaca, but it's not too squishy soft. It still has a nice feel to it and like a nice grip. And this color was so glorious. I really liked it. It's absolutely beautiful. And at first I almost took only this, but then I thought I don't quite know what texture to put in, and so I decided to get this. And this is dyed with, and I'm very sorry, it's a nut. It's cashew in French. It's not cashew. It's not this one. I don't know what is the English name for that nut, but it made this like beautiful beige, and the 2 of them together, they really work well. And I'm really liking their booth. Was really lovely, and it was like such a tiny little place, and really a little universe of its own. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably something like this with like a colorwork transition. I don't know, something light and airy cropped. Not like a little bit oversized, but I only have 800 meters. Well, that's more than enough for my size if I want to make something a little bit on the short side with sleeves. But yeah, if you want to check her Instagram, she does really lovely things. Yeah. And so that was the first unplanned thing. And the second unplanned thing was this. So this is a yarn shop in Paris. So in Paris you can go to La Bien-Aimée in the 13th neighborhood, and then you can go to Montmartre, you know, the really fancy, nice like artistic kind of side of Paris. And you have this shop which is Les Petits Points Parisiens, literally the little Parisian stitches. And she only, well, she does shows, she moves around in shows, but she only has, she doesn't sell online because it's a lot of work. She has kids, and she doesn't have a big team. I had the opportunity to chat with her, and it was really nice. And I kept passing in front of her booth, and in the end, eventually I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop and check what you have. And she has this, and this is the same base that I use for my Lucarne wrap, which is merino, silk and yak. And you know how much I fell in love with that base. It's just the softest thing, and for shawls and wraps, it's perfect. And I really liked her ways of speckling, because she really manages to find colors that really complement each other. So this doesn't show really well on the camera. It's more pink than brown. It's like a pinkish browny grey, and it's speckled with this yellow, this dark brown, and there's some more vivid pink here, and I just really liked how it works. The colorway is Guimauve Speckle, which is like speckled marshmallow. I think it's a clever name for this. And yeah, so this is definitely going to be a shawl because it sounds squishy. And yeah, so that is everything, and that is quite a lot, yeah. But it's all going to turn out into designs eventually, so I'm really happy. And I'm gonna leave you now because my phone is gonna turn off in 30 seconds. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this episode. Have a lovely time. I think I will see you very soon. And yeah, bye bye.